life was smooth. I bought myself what I worked hard. I bought myself a brand new plot and built a house. A house that I detected what went to where. And I did that in the space of working for less than 10 years. Not watched the one before, it might make sense to watch from part 1. This is part 3. Today is quite significant because today marks exactly 3 months since I last worked in a 9 to 5 corporate world. And to tell you how I feel right now, I feel like a failure. I want you guys to learn from this and how everything that glitters is definitely not gold. For anybody who'll be wondering what is the point of all of these videos, is because I don't believe I'm unique to what I've gone through, and I'm sharing how my life crumbled in front of me and has left me feeling like all of my years working the corporate 9 to 5 world, poof, gone. But let me not rush it. Part 3. I talked about how I was thriving in this company, in a private company, doing so well. And the pay was decent. Coming from where I was, say 5 years ago, I was earning, without being boastful, almost 15,000 a year more. So my salary had almost doubled. I was doing so well. I could see where I'll be. I actually had a plan of where I'll be. And this was me turning just 32. At that point, 30. Actually, I just turned 30, 31, young. I looked at myself and I said, God, you are great. And I got this promotion, got this more money, was doing well. And then one fateful day after I got better on my back, I realized that I did not have a break because one of my kids was doing so well in the sports, in football. And he was scouted into one of the biggest football clubs in the country, and famous in the world. And he was given a full-time position there. And we lived miles away. And he had to train, I think, 3 days a week after during work hours at 5. Talking now a while back, 10 years ago. And he was only about 6 then, 5. And I saw this dream. I said, God, this is going to be big. I have a feeling, and every parent will do. At that point, my husband had got himself a job. So he was struggling. He couldn't work. He couldn't take him. Luckily, my job was removed from the home that we owned. We sold to pay off debts and start afresh. Moved to a lovely area, very leafy. But we're renting. I'm looking for a place to buy desperately. I had saved quite a bit of money, but I needed more because I was planning to go big or go home. Big in my own way. But the only thing I could think of was 9 to 5. Don't get me wrong. There are many other things like most of us we think about in terms of making money, business. I had loads of plans. Back home, I was thinking to start a cleaning company, to even start in the UK. Thought about it. Had a side hustle as well, side job to raise my money. Did all sorts just to get us a place, because the difference to I was only one at the time who could buy. For very obvious reasons, because I'd been consistent in work, so I needed a lot more money to buy what we wanted, so I had to have a second job just to beef my income up. This is something I'd never done in my life, guys. Never done. I went into the care industry just to be able to raise money for my income to match the house that I wanted. And back then it was like you could buy a 4 times your salary. I was looking at houses quite expensive. I did not want to live in it. I wanted to give my kids the best. And I'm somebody who really believes in getting your mind and going for what you want and getting the universe to comply with what you want. My dreams into a reality, in other words. And I kind of pictured where I was going to live. I drove around this area. I pinpointed it. And I said, I'll be there. We came here twice years before we bought it. So I was so driven. I asked my manager at the time, I said, please, I just want to ask for one favor. On this particular day, can I leave early? Can I leave at 4 so that I can take my son for his practice? He starts at 5. I'll literally just dash him. I was 5 minutes away from the house. He'll be ready from school. The nanny would get him ready. I was always there at 7. I'll leave home at 6, get to work at 7 just to catch up. And she said, that won't be possible. You know this place, and that's the day of supper club. I could do anything for you. And that day I knew that that was it. It looks like the penny dropped. I said, oh my God, I had made the money from things like rebates. I had saved the money. I was what I'll call the real MVP, in my own words, for a short time. I was calling the shots. Things were better, productivity, profit, but it was not mine. It was owned by an equity company. I was just a number. And I think that was when I realized that I'm not going to kill myself for work because I'll get replaced. I got on well. Thanks to this job, nothing changed. Came back, yes, I threw some money in, but that's the culture. The work culture of 9 to 5 is slave driving. For somebody who gets better and you're there and you feel like you cannot move on without them. And I knew that I could not have my own business at that point, though I wanted it so bad. I'd not had enough savings, would not even bought. And I thought, I just saw a casual job, very similar to what I'm doing, almost the same pay, a bit more. I thought this looked like a drive. In the park, I was managing 30 odd suppliers. This was like 10. I applied and it took me to show how high up this job was in tech, and it was for a very, very prestigious institution, which I'll never mention the names here. This is where I'm going to lead to where I am now. And this was 8 years ago. Oh, actually almost 9. And they received my application, went through the process, and went through loads of interviews, loads of phases, and also for this job. This for me was the real mama I made it in the corporate 9 to 5 life. I moved in with all the zeal, with all the ambition, with all the fire, and I was met with a different world. Everybody had been there for 40 years, 30 years, 20 years. People walked in at 9. People never came to the office before 10 on a Friday. I was like, I might get brain dead. All of these things that I've learned, I need to practice. Of course I was, but at less capacity. And at the beginning, I was like, oh my God, I just cannot cope. I want to change jobs. I was complaining. I had a colleague who, bless him, he would hear me complain and he's thinking, I thought you'd be happy because you took this job because of your son. I will take him to training. And at some point, I became cocky about that because he was doing so well in his football. And they said, we'll take him and drop him off for you guys. That's a different story. His whole football career to where he is today. Thank God. I'll share that. And if you want to know about it, I'll talk about it in the next few episodes. We'll be here for a long run because this woman has gone through a lot, like most of us, but I'll share my story. And they started picking him up, so I did not have to do that. I remember on Fridays I'll walk in. This was long before pre-COVID, where people work from home. On a Friday I'll do my stuff, walk in, leave early. I was getting things done without breaking a sweat. And I thought, after a year, 2 years, I'm like, I'm going nowhere. This is a job for life. The culture was all right. I need to be very honest. It was a good culture. I think it was one of the best I had been in because I was from very toxic environments. It started creeping in a little bit, and there will always be the anomaly because one, I was getting into tech and I was in a managerial position, and that brought a whole different dynamic to my life. And that's when I realized that the politics is not what you see when you're on the shop floor. When you're on the desk, is what happens behind. The people up there, the higher you get up and deal with them, you realize that you have to play the politics. And I became the people who would be considered toxic because I was thriving, I was high up, but I still had challenges. I'll go to a meeting, £1 million deal, and I have to call the shot on who I buy from. I make the decisions on who is graded at what stage. And honestly, I'll ask a question with my colleague who was just there to shadow. And when I talk to them, they talk back at him. I remember one day I lost it. I just hit my head as I'm talking to you. I said, the sooner you realize that I will make you have this job, the better for you. Because this man here will not be here tomorrow. From today, it will be me. And when I ask you a question, look at me and respond. That's the right thing to do. And this guy is like a car hitting. Understood is like 100%, and we set the tone. But I dealt with this all the time. Snide comments. The people who are so misogynistic without realizing. The whole IT leadership team were like that because it was the culture. They had this schoolboy attitude of bullying suppliers and stuff. That was not where the world I came from. But quickly you just get drawn in. Either it works or it doesn't. And that was just me. Anyway, I did that for a while. and life was smooth. I bought myself what I worked hard. I took some loans and debt and everyone. I bought myself a brand new plot and built a house. A house that I detected what went to where. And I did that in the space of working for less than 10 years at the time. I say I was in a union, but for reasons I cannot discuss here, I was the main person. The day I moved into this house, I cried because we had some deals that we could only get if we moved before the Christmas day. They threw in like the lightings. If you move into a brand new build, you know that you have to put everything. And that's another story for another day. The lessons I learned, money I lost. Just you're having your eyesight, all of those things that I'll educate you guys. I'll talk about it. It's my story, and I'm here to give back, to share, and to educate. But let's take to this fateful day in July, which has brought me here today and which changed my life. I did that, and I moved into this house. And I remember lying with my kids and I said, God, I'll never complain because I've made it. And at this point, I was only 33. 33 is not, most people 33-year-olds now are so woke. Immigrants who come here at 33, who've come here my age now, they know what, they get the houses at 28. They have a goal. We were going on holidays, going back home, spending money on stupid things, looking after people who don't care about us. We did not know about things like investment properties, getting yourself on the ladder. No, it was when you finish school, you get yourself a good job, you get yourself a good rental house, and you're living the dream. Or so we thought once you're 9 to 5. And once I bought this place, I started thinking, it's time to invest. And that's when my eyes started opening. But again, I was very restricted because I was not bold enough to make the move because there was a cushion and I had a job for life. Yes, mortgage was quite good because I put a big deposit down. Although I had some debts, it was okay. My partner was working, we're living okay, going back home on holidays. Okay. And I could ignore the office politics, although it was always so toxic. Somebody who's doing better than you, somebody who's doing worse than you, somebody who could do better. It was just always that comparison, backbiting. You walk with your colleagues you work with, you talk about this person. I remember joking, my partner joked and said, in a Teams meeting at work, he said, or in an office meeting, he said, oh my God, they slaughtered this guy. And he said, I'd rather never miss a meeting. And they were all laughing because you'll be the one on the hot seats, will I say, and the bitching, the backbiting was. Sometimes I see my colleagues, I don't know if to smile, frown, pretend. And it was always the same. You okay? Oh yes, how was your weekend? We chat about things that I don't care about. I'd rather just be stuck in my job. And then COVID hit. And life changed. But before COVID hit, this girl did not think she had enough kids. And bam, I had the biggest shock of my life. And I'll tell you guys in part 4 of my life. My corporate 9 to 5 and just me finding myself. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this episode and you did not watch the one before, it might make sense to watch from part 1. This is part 3. And I'm just doing back to back because I feel inspired today. Today is quite significant because today marks exactly 3 months since I last worked in a 9 to 5 corporate world. And to tell you how I feel right now, you need to watch part 4. And to tell you why I feel like a failure. And to tell you why I want you guys to learn from this and how everything that glitters is definitely not gold. Thanks. And if you learned a thing, put your comments. And yeah, I'll see you in part 4. I'm a bit lost now which part I am. Thank you.